Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, and this is the final episode of NFL Weekly for the 2014-2015 season. So the 2014, the regular season is over. There will be no more games played this year, and then starting in 2015 we'll have the playoffs. So let's look at a few things that happened this week that I want to mention. First of all, J.J. Watt became the first player in NFL history with 20 or more sacks in consecutive seasons. That doesn't seem right, but that's what somebody on the TV told me, so I'm just regurgitating that information. I didn't actually look it up. So, Demarco Murray finishes the season as the NFL's leading rusher and breaks the Cowboys' single-season record held by Emmitt Smith since 1995. The Cowboys, they grab a win in order to finish the season a perfect 8-0 on the road, only the sixth time that that's happened since the merger, and it's the second time that the Cowboys have been able to do that. The last person to achieve that feat was the New England Patriots when they went 16-0 that one year. And then also Dez Bryant had 16 receiving touchdowns, breaking T.O.'s franchise record, which I didn't even know T.O. had that record. But whatever. So yeah, 16 receiving touchdowns in the season. Congratulations, Dez. The Chargers, they lost the game, which they were in a situation where all they had to do was win, and they're in. But they choked, again, like they always do. And so their loss opens up the door for the Ravens, who they were able to beat the Browns and grab a postseason berth. So now the AFC North has 3 teams in the playoffs. And speaking of the AFC North, the Steelers beat the Bengals to win the division title. Antonio Brown of the Steelers, he led the league in receptions and receiving yards. Big Ben tied with Drew Brees to lead the league in passing yards. And then the Detroit Lions still have not won a game in Green Bay since 1991. The Packers clinched the division and a first-round bye. Andrew Luck, he breaks the Colts' single-season passing record previously held by Peyton Manning. The Kansas City Chiefs, they finished the season without any of the wide receivers on their roster catching a single touchdown pass this season. The Bucs, they lost, effectively securing the number 1 draft pick, and the Titans were able to secure the number 2 draft pick with their loss. Matt Forte, he has 102 receptions on the year, breaking the single-season record for receptions by a running back. He's only the third player in the NFL, the third running back in the NFL to have over 100 receptions in a game. The last person to do it was LT. The Broncos were able to secure a first-round bye with a commanding win over the Raiders. The Panthers punched their postseason ticket with a display of total domination over the Falcons. And Seattle also won, which guarantees them home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Now, speaking of the playoffs, they will be starting on Saturday. I mean, unless this is your first time seeing the playoffs, you probably know the drill already. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. So in the NFC, the Seahawks and Packers have a first-round bye. So the wild-card matchups, you're going to have the Panthers hosting the Cardinals. And, in all honesty, this game doesn't really matter because whoever wins this game, they're going to lose next week. That's all there is to it. But anyway, the game has to be played, and I'm probably going to watch it just because I do love football. The Cardinals, for them to have 11 wins this season and to make the playoffs, despite everything that they've gone through, they fought so hard to get here in the first place. All the injuries, they've had 5 different starting quarterbacks this year. They've lost so many of their defensive starters as well. They lost their star running back. I mean, they've fought hard through adversity to get here, but it's all starting to catch up with them these past few weeks, and that's been obvious to see. So the Panthers, I think I have to give them the advantage here. The Cardinals are the least scary team in the playoffs right now. And then you've got the Lions at the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they have 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. They've also got Murray and Dez and Romo. And, they've got so many great weapons on offense. And to make matters worse, they can play good defense too. They can get stops and force turnovers. So they have an all-around scary team. The Lions, they have a great defense, but there's a chance that Sue could end up facing a suspension from the league for stepping on Aaron Rodgers because he stepped on his leg twice The first time looked like a complete and total accident, but the second time his foot lingered a little too long there. So I'm thinking that there's a chance he could face discipline, possibly miss this game. Though I wouldn't be shocked if no discipline came down. It could be as much as a small fine. It's hard to tell what's going to happen there. But I mean, the fact that Sue has so many prior offenses, that alone could make this, even if it was a complete accident, which once again I don't think it was. Then just the fact that he has so many priors could make this a harsh punishment, like a suspension, which would really help us out. But even if he does play, and even if that defense does do so well, I've lost all faith in the Lions. I mean, they've got so many good, versatile, explosive weapons on offense, yet they just can't score that highly. And then you've got all the issues they've had with special teams this year. I have no faith in them. I feel like the Cowboys are better than them in all facets of the game, except for maybe the pass rush. That's the only thing that I feel the Lions do better than the Cowboys. So I feel like the Cowboys should grab another win. So good news for all you Cowboys haters. You're going to be proven wrong again. Not only are the Cowboys in the playoffs, but they're going to win a game. And then, if the Cowboys win, they'll go on to play the Packers, and the winner of the Panthers-Cardinals game will go on to lose to the Seahawks the following week. And if the Lions win, then they will play the Seahawks, and the winner of the Panthers-Cardinals game will go on to lose to the Packers the following week. Then in the AFC, you've got the Patriots and Broncos who have the first round bye. And in the wild card matchups this weekend, you're going to have the Colts hosting the Bengals. The Bengals, I feel like they've got a better running game. I personally think they have better receivers, though we'll see how many of them are actually out there. Late in the game on Sunday, A.J. Green took a hard hit. They were looking at him for possible head injuries, so we'll see what happens there. And Bengals, they definitely have a better defense than the Colts. I think everyone in the playoffs has a better defense than the Colts. The only place where the Colts are superior is they've got Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck is a guy who has made miracles happen. So for that reason alone, I'm not going to count them out. But I'm still going to choose the Bengals for the upset. And then you've also got the Ravens at Steelers. You never know how it'll shape up when division rivals face off, especially in the playoffs when they're facing each other for the third time this season. But the Ravens, they've been struggling lately, and so I can't believe in them. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers. They've got home field advantage. Although Le'Veon Bell, I think that's how you pronounce it. Le'Veon Bell of the Steelers. He had an injury in this game against the Bengals, and if he's not there, that could affect their offense. It'll make things a lot more difficult for them. I still believe that they are more than capable of pulling off a win, but it does hurt their chances if Bell is not there, because a lot of people will argue that Bell is the top halfback in the league. I think he's easily should be in everyone's top 5. I'd say, he's definitely in my top 3. So, anyways, if the Steelers win, they will go on to play the Broncos the following week, and the winner of the Colts-Bengals game will play the Patriots. If the Ravens manage to win, then they will play the Patriots, and the winner of the Bengals-Colts game will move on to play the Broncos. So that's what you have to look forward to. It has been a fun season, and so I'm gonna look at a few awards I want to give out. I like to do something called fan awards, which this show is not associated with the Associated Press or any of the other affiliates. Blah blah blah. Views and the opinions expressed in this are my own. But let's talk about some of the people who deserve to win certain things. The Coach of the Year, easily Bruce Arians. The Cardinals, everything that they've had to go through, he's done such a great job pulling them together and grabbing as many wins as they did, especially early on in the season when they were a little bit healthier. But yeah, I just feel like Bruce Arians, runaway Coach of the Year. Rookie of the Year, easily Odell Beckham Jr. If you look at the numbers, he's been the leading receiver in the league since he came in. He missed all of preseason, missed the first month of the season, and then he just comes in and starts beasting. I mean, just give it to the boy. The Giants are going to be scary next year. It's when they have Beckham and Victor Cruz on both opposite sides. There's no team in the league right now that has 2 corners that can match up with both of them. And then you've got wide receiver of the year Antonio Brown for the Steelers. I mentioned before, led the league in receptions and receiving yards. Running back of the year, easily Demarco Murray. QB of the year, I got to give it to Brady. Defensive back of the year, I'll give it to Patrick Peterson of the Cardinals. A great playmaker for them. He's done so much to help them out. Now, that's not to say he's been the best defensive back in this season. I just feel like he was the most impactful to the team. Linebacker of the year, DeAndre Levy. Many people will disagree with this, but I feel like he deserved to be at the Pro Bowl. I mean, you look at the stat sheet, he had a fantastic year being a great leader for what is a very strong Lions defense. I mean, I just feel like he deserves some consideration. And the lineman of the year is also my pick for defensive player of the year, J.J. Watt. And I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. And for MVP, you can take your names. You can take a pick from any of the names I just mentioned. I think the worst thing about this award is that you can only give it to one person, and every year there's like 3 to 5 people who really deserve it. I'm gonna say a few things against some of the big names that are in the running. J.J. Watt, I love him, and I would love to see a defensive player win MVP. I want nothing more than that. But they're not in the playoffs. That's the only thing against it. Like, I feel like, MVP. You got to be able to elevate your team to a whole nother level. And I understand, yes, the Houston sucks, and without Watt, they'd be even worse. But still, they're not in the playoffs, and I don't want an MVP to go to a team that's not in the playoffs. That's my opinion. Also, there are a lot of people who want to talk about, Romo for MVP. I'm a Cowboys fan, and even I think that Cowboys fans are really stupid. I get tired of hearing other Cowboys fans talk about how good the Cowboys are, because some of the things out of their mouths are just so ridiculous. I mean, Demarco Murray is the reason why the Cowboys have had so much success this year. I mean, if any Cowboy were to get MVP, it would either be Demarco Murray or the Cowboys training staff, for the fact that for the first time in his entire career, DeMarco Murray actually played all 16 games in the season. But whatever. I mean, it'll probably go to someone. I'd say if it doesn't go to Watt, which there's a legitimate chance it could, it would be either Brady or Rodgers, because those are two guys that, without a doubt, without them in the lineup, their teams would be at the bottom of the division. So that's it for this edition of NFL Weekly. Tune in next week for the all-new playoff edition of NFL Weekly. And until then, this has been The Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. Have a good week. Enjoy the playoffs. Wild card. Woohoo!